Chapter 11. A Race Against Time. The urgency of the situation was palpable as Eun-hye found herself caught in a whirlwind of mysteries and dangers. Time, like a relentless predator, hunted her every step, pushing her to the brink of exhaustion as she delved deeper into the enigmas that surrounded her. In the dimly lit room of her makeshift investigation headquarters, Eun-hye sat hunched over a cluttered desk, illuminated only by the flickering light of a single lamp. The walls echoed with the ticking of the clock, each second a reminder of the fleeting nature of her mission. Papers littered the surface before her, maps spread out like a labyrinth of possibilities, and photographs pinned to a board forming a mosaic of faces and places. With furrowed brows and determination etched into her features, Eun-hye meticulously pieced together the fragments of information she had gathered. Every clue, every lead, was a thread in the intricate web of her investigation, weaving a narrative that could either lead to salvation or doom. Her fingers danced across the keyboard of her laptop, searching tirelessly through databases and archives for any shred of evidence that could shed light on the mysteries that bound her fate. Each keystroke was a battle fought against the relentless march of time, a race against the unknown forces that threatened to consume her. Outside, the city bustled with life, oblivious to the silent struggle unfolding within the confines of Eun-hye's makeshift sanctuary. People hurried along the streets, consumed by their own worries and desires, unaware of the impending danger that loomed on the horizon. But for Eun-hye, there was no time for distractions or detours. Every moment wasted was a step closer to the abyss, a descent into darkness from which there might be no return. Failure was not an option, for the consequences would be dire, not only for herself, but for those she held dear. As the hours stretched into days, Eun-hye's resolve only grew stronger, fueled by the urgency of her mission and the weight of responsibility that rested upon her shoulders. She knew that she was racing against more than just time. She was racing against fate itself, determined to carve her own destiny from the chaos that threatened to engulf her. But even as she pushed herself to the limits of her endurance, doubts gnawed at the edges of her mind, whispering of the futility of her efforts and the inevitability of her fate. Was she merely a pawn in a larger game, manipulated by unseen hands for purposes she could not comprehend? Or was there still hope, a glimmer of light amidst the encroaching darkness? With each passing moment, the answers remained elusive, buried beneath layers of deception and deceit. But Eun-hye refused to yield, her determination unshakable as she pressed onward, driven by a fierce determination to uncover the truth and defy the forces that sought to control her destiny. And so, as the clock continued to tick relentlessly, Eun-hye raced against time. Chapter 12. The Final Confrontation. The air crackled with tension as Eun-hye stood at the threshold of the Duke's manor, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum heralding the impending clash. The weight of her mission bore down upon her shoulders, every step she took echoing with the gravity of her purpose. This was the moment she had been preparing for, the culmination of her journey through shadows and deception, leading her inexorably to this fateful confrontation. The grand doors of the manor loomed before her like ancient sentinels, guarding the secrets that lay within. With a steady hand, Eun-hye pushed them open, the creak of hinges echoing through the silent halls like a challenge issued to fate itself. She stepped into the opulent interior, her senses assaulted by the scent of polished wood and flickering candlelight. As she made her way through the labyrinthine corridors, Eun-hye's mind raced with 1,000 thoughts and fears. What awaited her within these hallowed halls? Would she emerge victorious, or would she meet her downfall at the hands of those who sought to silence her? But amidst the turmoil of her thoughts, one thing remained clear. She would not falter, not now, not ever. With every fiber of her being, Eun-hye was resolved to see her mission through to its bitter end, whatever the cost. Finally, she reached the heart of the manor, a grand chamber adorned with tapestries and chandeliers, where the Duke and his cohorts awaited her. Their eyes bore into her like daggers, their expressions a mask of disdain and contempt. But Wernher stood tall, her chin held high in defiance, a beacon of unwavering resolve amidst a sea of hostility. "Ah, Lady Wernher," the Duke's voice cut through the silence like a whip, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "To what do we owe the honor of your presence?" Wernher met his gaze with a steely glare, her voice firm and unwavering. "I have come to put an end to this charade, Duke Argentine," she declared, her words ringing out with the force of a thunderclap. "The time for lies and deceit is over. It is time for the truth to be revealed." A murmur of disbelief rippled through the assembled crowd, their expressions shifting from scorn to uncertainty. But the Duke remained unfazed, his lips curled into a cruel smile. "And what truth would that be, my dear?" he sneered. "Surely you don't expect us to believe that you have uncovered some great conspiracy." Wernher's jaw clenched with determination, her fists trembling with suppressed rage. "I know what you have done," she spat, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know about your affair with my cousin, about the plot to rid yourself of me and claim your ill-gotten fortune. But I refuse to be your pawn any longer. I refuse to let you destroy everything I hold dear." The Duke's laughter echoed through the chamber like the tolling of a death knell, his eyes alight with a twisted amusement. "You truly are a fool, Lady Wernher," he taunted, his voice dripping with malice. "Do you honestly believe that you can challenge me, that you can defy the natural order of things? You are nothing but a pawn in a game far greater than you can possibly imagine." But Wernher refused to be intimidated, her resolve burning brighter than ever before. With a swift motion, she produced the evidence she had gathered, laying it out before the assembled crowd like a damning indictment. "I have proof," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "Proof of your crimes, proof of your treachery, and I will not rest until justice is served." For a moment, there was silence, the weight of Wernher's words hanging heavy in the air like a shroud. And then chaos erupted. The Duke's cohorts lunged forward, their faces contorted with rage, but Wernher was ready. With lightning-fast reflexes, she dodged their attacks, her movements fueled by a primal instinct for survival. But the Duke himself remained unmoved, his gaze fixed upon Wernher with a cold intensity that sent shivers down her spine. "You may have uncovered some of my secrets, Lady Wernher," he sneered, his voice like ice, "but you will never defeat me. I am untouchable, invincible, and you, my dear, are nothing but a pawn in my game." With a swift motion, the Duke lunged forward, his blade flashing in the candlelight like a viper striking its prey. But Wernher was ready. With a deft Chapter 13, Redemption and Renewal. In the aftermath of the tumultuous events that had unfolded within the Duke's manor, Wernher emerged from the shadows of deception and treachery, her spirit unbowed by the trials she had endured. Though the wounds of battle still lingered, both physical and emotional, she found herself standing tall amidst the wreckage of her past, a beacon of resilience and strength. As the sun rose on a new day, casting its golden rays over the sprawling estate, Wernher breathed in the crisp morning air, the scent of victory mingling with the scent of blooming flowers. The once imposing walls of the manor now seemed to stand as a testament to her triumph, their stone facades softened by the gentle light of dawn. But while the physical remnants of the Duke's tyranny may have been vanquished, Wernher knew that the journey towards redemption and renewal was far from over. The scars that marred her heart ran deep, a constant reminder of the pain and suffering she had endured. Yet she refused to be defined by her past, choosing instead to embrace the promise of a brighter future. With each passing day, Wernher found herself drawn to the quiet serenity of the estate's gardens, their lush greenery offering a sanctuary from the chaos of the world beyond. Amidst the fragrant blossoms and meandering pathways, she found solace in the simple beauty of nature, a balm for her weary soul. But even as she sought refuge in the tranquility of her surroundings, Eun-ha could not escape the echoes of the past that haunted her every step. Memories of the Duke's cruelty and betrayal lingered like specters in the shadows, threatening to drag her back into the abyss from which she had fought so hard to escape. Yet, with each passing day, Eun-ha found herself drawing strength from the bonds she had forged with those who had stood by her side through the darkest of times. From the loyal servant who had aided her in her quest for justice, to the steadfast friends who had offered her their unwavering support, she found comfort in the knowledge that she was not alone. Together, they embarked on a journey of healing and renewal, each step bringing them closer to the promise of a brighter tomorrow. They worked tirelessly to rebuild what had been lost, their hands united in a common purpose to create a future free from the shadows of the past. But amidst the tumult of reconstruction, Eun-ha found herself grappling with the weight of her own guilt and remorse. Though she had emerged victorious from the battle against the Duke, she could not shake the feeling that she bore responsibility for the pain and suffering that had been wrought upon others in the pursuit of justice. Haunted by the ghosts of her past, Eun-ha sought solace in the teachings of her ancestors, drawing strength from the wisdom passed down through generations. In the quiet solitude of the estate's library, she immersed herself in ancient texts and scrolls, seeking guidance in the face of uncertainty. And slowly, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Eun-ha began to find peace within herself, a sense of redemption born from the ashes of her past. She embraced her role as a beacon of hope and resilience, using her experiences to inspire others to rise above adversity and embrace the promise of a brighter future. As she stood amidst the blooming flowers of the estate's gardens, her gaze turned towards the horizon, where the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and gold. And in that moment, Eun-ha knew that though the road ahead may be fraught with challenges, she would face them with courage and determination, guided by the knowledge that she had the strength to overcome whatever obstacles lay in her path. For in the end, it was not the trials we faced that defined us, but the way in which we rose above them. And as Eun-ha stood on the precipice of a new beginning, she felt a sense of renewal wash over her like a gentle breeze, carrying with it the promise of a future filled with possibility and hope. Chapter 14: A New Beginning. The first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of gold and pink as Eun-ha stood before the imposing gates of the Duke's manor, her heart heavy with the weight of farewell. Though her journey within its walls had come to an end, the memories she had forged and the lessons she had learned would forever be etched into the fabric of her being. With a sense of reverence, Eun-ha traced her fingers along the intricately wrought ironwork of the gates, the cold metal yielding to the warmth of her touch. For a moment, she lingered in the silence of the early morning, allowing herself to bask in the quiet beauty of the estate one last time. But even as she bid farewell to the world of the Duke's manor, Eun-ha knew that her journey was far from over. The trials and tribulations she had faced had changed her in ways she could scarcely comprehend, molding her into a woman of strength and resilience. As she turned away from the gates and began to make her way down the winding path that led back to the world beyond, Eun-ha felt a sense of anticipation stirring within her soul. For though the road ahead may be fraught with uncertainty, she knew that she possessed the courage and determination to face whatever challenges lay in her path. With each step she took, Eun-ha felt the weight of the past lifting from her shoulders, replaced by a newfound sense of freedom and possibility. The shadows that had once haunted her dreams now seemed to fade into the distance, their power diminished by the light of her resolve. But even as she embraced the promise of a new beginning, Eun-ha could not help but feel a pang of sadness at leaving behind the friends and allies she had made within the Duke's manor. From the loyal servant who had aided her in her quest for justice, to the steadfast friends who had offered her their unwavering support, their presence had been a source of comfort and strength in the darkest of times. Yet, even as she bid them farewell, Won-hye knew that their bonds would remain unbroken, their memories cherished forever in her heart. For though their paths may diverge, they would forever be united by the trials they had faced and the victories they had won. As she emerged from the shadows of the estate and stepped out into the light of the world beyond, Won-hye felt a sense of exhilaration wash over her, like a wave crashing upon the shore. For though the journey ahead may be long and arduous, she knew that she was not alone. With each passing day, Won-hye found herself embracing the promise of a new beginning, her spirit buoyed by the knowledge that she possessed the strength and resilience to overcome whatever challenges lay in her path. And as she looked towards the horizon, where the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of gold and pink, she knew that the world was hers for the taking. For in the end, it was not the trials we faced that defined us, but the way in which we rose above them. And as Won-hye embarked on the next chapter of her journey, she did so with a sense of determination and purpose, ready to seize the opportunities that awaited her with open arms. Chapter 15. Epilogue. Back in the comforting embrace of her familiar surroundings, Park Won has sat at her desk, her gaze fixed upon the pages of her journal. The events of the past months seemed like a distant dream, a surreal adventure that had unfolded in the depths of her imagination. Yet, as she traced her fingers along the worn leather cover, she knew that the memory she had forged would remain etched in her heart forever. With a sense of reverence, Won-hye opened the journal to the first blank page, the crisp white paper, a canvas waiting to be filled with the stories of her future. Though she had returned to the confines of her mundane existence, she knew that she was no longer the same woman who had embarked on this extraordinary journey. As she began to write, the words flowed from her pen with a sense of purpose and clarity. She chronicled the trials and tribulations she had faced, the friendships she had forged, and the lessons she had learned along the way. Each stroke of her pen was a tribute to the courage and resilience that had carried her through the darkest of times. But amidst the tales of adventure and intrigue, there was a thread of gratitude that wove its way through the pages of her journal. Gratitude for the unexpected journey that had transformed her life, for the friends who had stood by her side, and for the lessons she had learned along the way. As she wrote, Won-hye found herself reflecting on the profound impact that her adventure had had on her life. Though she had returned to her mundane existence, her heart brimmed with a newfound sense of purpose and possibility. She had discovered strength within herself that she had never known existed, and she knew that she was capable of overcoming whatever challenges lay in her path. But even as she looked towards the future with optimism and excitement, Won-hye could not help but feel a pang of nostalgia for the world she had left behind. The Duke's manor, with its opulent halls and hidden secrets, had become a part of her in ways she could scarcely comprehend. And though she knew that she could never return to that world, she would forever carry its memory within her heart. As she closed her journal and set it aside, Won-hye felt a sense of peace settle over her like a warm embrace. Though her adventure may have come to an end, she knew that it was only the beginning of a new chapter in her life. With a sense of determination and purpose, she turned the page to the next chapter, eager to embrace whatever adventures awaited her on the horizon. For in the end, it was not the destination that mattered, but the journey itself. And as Won-hye embarked on the next chapter of her life, she did so with a sense of gratitude for the extraordinary adventure that had unfolded and a heart filled with hope for the future that lay ahead.